What's up, guys? I'm Captain Mike, and welcome to my rigging station, and welcome to our Florida Keys fishing forecast. This is going to come at you live every Friday. We're going to provide you a legit fishing forecast from Key Largo to Key West. Okay, if you're an offshore fisherman, you absolutely can't miss this forecast. We're going to break it all down, species, venues, legit info, the good to bad. All right, we want to make sure that you go out there well prepared and ready to get hooked up. There's a lot going on right now, okay? Understand, it's May, it's peak season. If you asked me my favorite time of the year to fish, there's no question it would be May. I don't care where you are, it's just a transitional period. There's so much going on. There's so many different options, and that's what I really, really love about this time of the year. For starters, the reef bite. From Key Largo, like I said, all the way down and around Key West has been fire, okay? Really, really strong reef bite. Understand that right now with the opening of black grouper season, of course, that's what so many guys are doing. They're getting set up on the patch reefs or right off the edge of the reef, okay? We're talking about 60 to 70 feet on the shallow side, 100 to 110, 120 maybe, depending on where you are. But as that reef falls off, okay, in that area, again, depending geographically on exactly where you are, but that's where you're gonna find the black groupers. These things are prowling under ledges and deep under ledges. You know, when I get hung up on a black grouper, I get bit, and come on, you guys know what I'm talking about. Not everybody gets every one of them. All right, you're going to get smoked on so many big black groupers. I don't care what tackle you're fishing. If not, then you're not fishing the right tackle or the right place. And these things will take you underneath a ledge, and it's not just under a little hole or, you know, a small little overhang. It's way down in there where you can't even attempt to get way back there if you were a spear fisherman or something like that. Entice the black groupers to come out and play. So one has a, you know, close relationship with the other. Plus, of course, catching the yellowtails now means that you have the perfect bait. Okay, a small live yellowtail right to the bottom. There is no better bait for black grouper than a easy to pick off yellowtail. On the reefs as well, shallower water, muttons. Okay, a lot of guys are catching a lot of muttons in the shallower water. Looks like there's some kind of spawn that went on, that is going on. So don't discount looking for muttons in shallower water. You're also going to see some red groupers, mixed in keeper red groupers. The guys that are focused on the black grouper, okay, are seeing a healthy number of red groupers. So that's another great option. Mangroves, not big right now, but they're coming. I promise you that they're coming. And that bite's going to blow up here in the very near future, potentially with the next full moon. Okay, remember, they're going to be spawning. Get to those patch reefs early. Prepare yourself. A lot of chum, get there early. Run in the dark. Don't show up at 10 a.m. You're not going to catch crap. Okay, those fish have already eaten and they're done. The big mangroves on the shallow patch reefs is an early morning bite. Can you catch them throughout the day? Yes, but not consistently. A lot of guys thought the only way you can catch them was at night, but you can catch them during the day as well, or early morning, as I mentioned. But you've got to be there 6 a.m., all right, anchored, chumming. And just as that sun is coming over the horizon, you're going to have a bite till about 9 a.m. with those big mangs, and then that's over. All right, then from there on out, you're just going to get lucky to pick a big one here and there throughout the day. Best bait, small, medium, live pinfish. There it is. Pilchards, of course, a live pilchard, also absolutely excellent bait. A ballyhoo is going to make another great live bait, even a fresh dead bait, a ballyhoo plug. So you've got 3 options right there. Don't drop down a shrimp or a squid or some stupid stuff. You know, little guys are going to peck that off the hook, and you're not going to have an opportunity to entice one of those bigger mangroves. So that's right around the corner on the horizon. Okay, jig heads. I like to fish the jig heads. All right, 1/2 ounce jig head, 3/4 ounce, no bigger than that in this scenario. Small live pinfish right to the bottom. Let him sit there. Let him just sit and wait until he gets hammered. Okay, and then hit him fast and hard, or you're going to get smoked and you're going to come up with an empty jig. That's going to happen a lot too. So make sure that you've got plenty of bait. Okay, plenty of pinfish. Speaking of which, this time of the year, catching those small to medium pinfish could be challenging on the same grass beds where we catch, you know, the bigger pinfish throughout the year. Sometimes you're going to have to take your traps and go up into the bay. Okay, run up into the bay if you're not already doing that, and set your traps on some healthy grass up there, way up there, and you're going to find that it might be a little bit easier to load up on the right size pins than it's going to be on the ocean side over the next month or two. Okay, but overall, reef bite, fantastic. Okay, but you got to put in the time. You got to be well prepared. You got to show up early. If one spot's not paying off, move. Okay, give it a little time. Let it get fired up. Let it build and build. But once you're convinced that it's built and no one's showing up, something's wrong. Maybe the current, you need better current. Maybe water clarity. A lot of different factors. Maybe the fish just aren't there. Okay, so don't hesitate. Picking up and moving. You know, shoot up or down the reef 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, okay? Just get to a different area altogether and give it another whirl. On the machine, I like to use, you know, extra charts like Seymour strike lines, provide unbelievable detail on reef fishing here in the Florida Keys. If you are not using those tools and you're going out there blindly, what do you think you're gonna catch? Okay, don't be disappointed when you come home with an empty fish box, okay? You've got to really take this seriously. Put in the time, look for those sharp ledges, the 90-degree turns. Those are the kinds of stuff, or the 90-degree angles. Those are the kinds of stuff where life is gonna build and you can almost count on a good reef bite. So again, real exciting. Moving further offshore, permit on the wrecks still, okay? Very reliable, guys fishing crabs. All right, on a jig head, 3/4 ounce or 1 ounce, depending on the current, depending on the depth, but it's got to have a little bit of a beefier hook, so I like that bigger jig head, okay? But don't discount just free lining the crab. Just take the crab, no jig head, 5/0 live bait hook right through the corner of the carapace, the shell, drill it up in there, nice and easy, hook fully exposed. You know, you're drifting over that wreck, you read the fish, throw the crab out, feed it out, feed it out, feed it out, let it drift naturally until it gets hammered. That simple. I like both methods, both work. Sometimes we'll throw a couple of crabs on jig heads, you know, and dead stick them while we're each feeding out a live crab, you know, with no weight. That's a great tactic and a great way to cover the water column and make sure that, you know, wherever they are, bottom, middle, top, that you stand a chance of getting bit. Those permit are strong. They're so strong. It's such an amazing fish. To have an opportunity to catch those permit on the offshore wrecks is an honor for us guys in our big boats, you know? That's an art. You guys that are out there on the shallows, fly fishing, and even throwing crabs and shrimp at permit, you know, in shallow water, I've done that. There is no harder feat in angling than tempting a permit on fly. That's the epitome of my God. You know, I get it. And for us to have a chance to fish these wrecks, to catch these spawning permit and enjoy these fish really is a great honor. All are being released unharmed, or they certainly should be. Season's closed, you can't harvest the fish. Get them out, you know, take a quick picture, boom, keep your hands wet. They're really strong, they're jacks, okay? And make sure, obviously, get that hook or jig out. If it's embedded really bad, don't risk it. Just snip it, it'll rust out. Okay, but that rarely happens. Usually get them right in those rubbery lips. There's some, you know, some muttons on the wrecks also, no question. Like I said, there's some fish up in the shallows, but there's some fish on the wrecks. You put in the time, you're gonna get bit, okay? But you can't just go to one spot. You gotta spend some time, bounce around. There's a lot more pressure that we're seeing here throughout the Keys, but this is peak snapper spawning season. So The muttons, if you're ever going to catch a mutton, it's going to be now or in the very near future. Okay, don't chum out there on the wrecks. You're going to attract too many sharks. It's like ringing the dinner bell, so you don't need to chum when you're out there. Okay, remember that. Those are really the primary wreck targets right now. Okay, is like I said, the muttons and the permit. Amberjack is another. I don't know how many guys are thrilled to death about going out and specifically targeting AJs while they're here in the Keys, but it's always a fun catch. I enjoy catching them, especially on the jigging rods. It's a great way to hone your tactics, your fish fighting skills. Guys love to eat them. They smoke them, make fish dip out of them. You know, one and done is usually the name of the game with a 40 or 50 pound AJ on a jig rod, so it doesn't take much, you know, to turn you from zero to a hero, you know. So that's a great option, you know. Of course, the occasional kingfish, wahoo, blackfin, sailfish around wrecks, cobia, you never know. It's a piece of structure under the water. It attracts life, and if you're there at the right time, you never know what may come along. Now, further offshore, of course, come on, what's everybody thinking about? Dolphin. What is the scoop with the dolphin, all right? What's going on? Guys, here's the deal. There's a lot of dolphin. There's a lot of dolphin off the Keys right now, okay? There really is. Most of them are schoolies, but keepers. You know, they're not peanuts. Okay? I've come across, I can tell you, in the last few days on the water, there has, you know, at least 2-3 times we get swarmed by dolphin. We're not dolphin fishing, we're deep dropping. We're on our instructional hands-on deep drop courses, but of course we're fishing offshore in dolphin territory. So these fish are popping up 2 or 3 times a day. We're catching a few here, catching a few there. The guys that are specifically targeting them absolutely are catching some bigger fish in the mix. There's some cows, some bulls. I haven't seen any giant fish, any, you know, 30 to 50 pounders. There's just a couple of those being caught. Not that you see every fish, because remember, we only see what we see, right? You don't know everything that everybody caught on any given day. You know, it's just your network, who you talk to, you know, you got your finger on the pulse. But certainly if somebody catches a 50-pound dolphin, pretty sure the world's going to know about it. Okay. Nevertheless, not a lot of huge fish, but some gaffers, you know, flippers, you know what I mean? Put some meat in the boat. Don't get carried away. All right. Nothing pisses me off more than when I see a rack of 20 to 24-inch dolphin and there's 30 of them. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. All right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's great to keep a few fish for each person, even if they're small, 2, 3, whatever, 4, 5. But you just don't need that many. For, you know, a lot of that ends up getting wasted. And even though, you know, the dolphin population, I believe, is pretty strong, it's certainly nothing like what it used to be. And it's just the point. It's reckless. It's stupid. It's freaking aggravating when I see these racks, like I said, just reckless slaughters of fish for nothing but ego. So that really pisses me off. But there'll be plenty of dolphin out there. There are plenty of dolphin. Expect to find them. I'm seeing a lot of beautiful water, clean water, flying fish in the mix, birds all around, grass everywhere, scattered grass everywhere with some nice patches. So we have the makings, the ingredients for a good dolphin season, and certainly a good beginning of a dolphin season. Okay, other years our ocean is barren and you don't see anything out there. Heck, there's quite a bit of floating debris as well. Yesterday I came across, maybe you saw it on Instagram, I posted a little video of it, of somebody's fad. Okay, that looks like it was made, I don't know, maybe a month ago somewhere, and just floating along, had some makeshift rope and stuff like that. And there was some dolphin around it, of course, and I let it go on for the next guy, you know, because, I don't know, maybe I should have picked it up, but for me, it was doing what it was supposed to do. Didn't look like it was harming any wildlife in any way, but nevertheless, maybe somebody picked it up down the line. But there is some floating debris out there, even without it. Just look for the birds, stop on the big weed patches, and look, let me share a couple dolphin tips with you. First, if you're struggling on the troll to find any bigger fish, fish some bigger baits. You know, make sure you've got rigged ballyhoo. Make sure you've got some skirted lures, bigger ones. I really like this Zack Attack. Of course, it mimics a juvenile dolphin, and bigger dolphin love to eat small dolphin. So, just pick up the pace a little bit on the size of the baits that you're fishing, maybe at least one from each outrigger, okay? So bigger baits tend sometimes to fool bigger dolphin because it's just a bigger reward for the fish. That's the bottom line. But like I said, put in the time, all right? Go from patch to patch. Have a bucket of chunks cut up, ready to go. A box of silver sides, anything that you can throw. So when you come across a school of these fish, you're not fumbling around. If you waste time having a cut bait, those fish are gone. They're on the move. They're cruising up an edge, cruising up a weed line. Your boat catches their attention. They're like, ooh, look at this guy's nice Grady or whatever it is. And they shoot over there to investigate. No food, gone. Okay, on to the next piece of debris. They don't have time to waste. So you've got to have something that you can just attract their interest and kind of keep them around real quick so you can get on them and try and catch a few. If you throw chunks, squid, cut up sardines, whatever it is, and they don't eat them, and they just circle around them and almost play with them and investigate it and don't eat them, they're not going to eat your baits. If they don't eat cut bait that does not have a hook and a line attached to it, they are not going to eat your bait impaled on a hook and line. Even the thinnest line, 20-pound fluorocarbon as an example, we're never going to fish less than 20-pound diamond presentation fluorocarbon on our dolphin leaders. Even that, underwater, we've tested it with cameras, looks like a black magic marker, okay? Really does. You see a lot. Okay, so remember that. And a lot of these fish are being pounded by boats all up and down the line. You're not the only guy who's out there dolphin fishing, okay? You're not. These fish, like I said, they bounce from boat to boat to boat. If you get lucky enough and get on a school that's not been pressured, you can keep them around a boat. Don't overfeed them. Watch the school. You're seeing it. This is sight fishing. You're watching the whole school. Don't be too aggressive with the amount of food you throw in the water. You're going to overfeed them and they could lose interest and split. Okay, couple of chunks at a time. Keep them interested. Keep them, aggressive. Keep them competitive. Now they're going to eat every bait you put in the water. Throw one rod and hook one up. Leave them hooked up. Hook up another one. Get that one in the boat. Rotate. Okay, not 5 people throwing baits at one time. And next thing you know, everybody's hooked up and everybody's like this. Okay, and you got 5 lines that are all crossed around each other and you're all looking at each other like, huh? And it's not your fault. Dolphin are crazy. You hook a dolphin, a schoolie, the thing's zipping up to the front of the boat, under the boat, jumping back to the back of the boat. That's what dolphin do. That's what makes dolphin fishing so fun. Imagine that times 5, okay, in a small environment. What do you think is going to happen? So you're doing yourself more harm than good. Instead, slow it down. Take a systematic approach to what you're doing. Okay, systematic approach, and you'll be able to catch as many of those fish as you would like. Keep what you want, release the rest unharmed. Get involved in the tagging program. That's really, really rewarding. The dolphin research program, being able to tag dolphin and somebody catching that dolphin down the line and learning and, migratory routes, all sorts of data. It's really a rewarding part of our industry and something that you should consider getting involved in, okay? Guys, I want to remind you too, look, even if you're traveling down here to the Keys, look, you need a place to stay, Captain Pip's Resorts and Marinas, but they also offer rental boats, okay, including 28-foot twin outboard powered center consoles. So you can get out there and go dolphin fishing on your own. You can get out there and fish the reef on your own, okay? You can do all of that. Great place to stay. The boat will be right there in your backyard. Mention Florida Sport Fishing TV Plus, 10% discount, by the way, on everything across the board. Just throwing that at you. That's one of the benefits of being a member. But a point I'm making is you can do it on your own. You can come down. You can charter some boats. There's a lot of great charter boats in the area, and there's some that suck. That's true. I don't care what you say. They're not all great. They don't all have your best interest in mind, okay? I talked to a lot of guys. I fished with a lot of guys. A lot of guys that fish with me fish on a lot of boats, so on and so forth. But there's certainly a lot of hardworking, really knowledgeable, really respectable, charter guys. These are the best fishermen in the business. Certainly a lot of them are. And down the line, we're going to get some of them right here, sitting right next to us to share with you exactly what they're seeing on the water as well. Okay, responsible guys. I think that's probably the most important thing that I can say. They're responsible. Okay. Further offshore, look, the deep dropping. I've been doing a lot of deep dropping courses lately. This is the time of the year. And guys, if you have followed, or if you follow, of course, our Instagram page, you've seen some of these beautiful fish that we're catching on the bottom. Big snowy groupers, monster tilefish, yellow edge groupers, okay? There's a lot of beautiful fish out there, and now is the time to go deep dropping, all right? Because the season's open here on the Atlantic side. I know it's open on the Gulf side throughout the year, and you can go run whatever. You know, from me to Pulley Ridge is almost 200 miles. Why would I do that? I could fish 20 miles and catch these amazing trophy bottom fish. I don't need to catch 100 of them. I'm only allowed 2 per person on the tile fish, and then some groupers mixed in. So, you know, I don't need to runway out there, and neither do you. Of course, that's a different experience, and there's a lot of other opportunities out there. I'm not discounting it. Of course, I love fishing Pulley Ridge, but I don't want you to think that you need to make that sort of commitment to get in on some really good deep drop fishing here in the Keys. You don't, okay? Here it is. What's the date? It's Friday, I don't know, guys, May 16th, right? It's middle of the month. The season just opened on May 1st. We've been out probably 10 times deep dropping since. It's going to be open through June, even past that, so you've got a lot of time, but get in on it now. Fresh bait is key to your success. And it's not just going out there and drifting anywhere, okay? Strategically place your drifts, you know, and understand where you are, where you're going. I'm going to tell you a huge tool that I recently got my hands on that's really helping me in a big way. Deep dropping, okay? And I'm gonna actually create a video about this next week. I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna record it on the screen, show it all to you. But I wanna just kind of give you a heads up, okay? And again, I told you, this is a legit fishing forecast with small details you're gonna pick up along the way on tackle, on gear, on techniques, on services, stuff that's gonna help you be more productive. That's a fishing report. It's not only what's being caught, but it's how to do it and how to do it better, okay? So look, Furuno TZTXL, my new machines, new software, 25, version 25 they call it. One of the features, there's a lot of new features. One of the features is TZI weather, TZ boat weather, whatever they call it. It's a weather system. I have it on my phone right here as well, okay? And I'm kind of showing it to you. It's TZI boat. And TZI boat works with Furuno, okay, hand in hand. So everything that I am like seeing on my phone, I can see and download on my machine automatically. Really, really simple. So I just want to kind of give you a quick look at current, okay, current, because this is so important, okay, so important. And there we go right there. I'm going to kind of hold that up to you, okay? And I know you're not going to see it all that well, but, you know, you'll see a bunch of arrows flowing, okay? The flow of the current, okay? Remember, current is predictable, okay? It's predictable. So I know exactly what the current is doing at any time in any location, not only direction, but speed. I get on the boat, all of the data is uploaded, I pop open my machine, I click on the weather, I click on current, and now I'm looking at my entire playing field with an overlay of the current, the exact direction and the speed. Now I can make decisions on where I'm gonna fish based on that current. If there's a spot way offshore where I wanna fish for snowy groupers, but on this particular occasion, there's 3 knots of current, okay, and it's flowing west to east. Man, I could still fish in 3 knots, not the end of the world, but it's blowing 10 to 15 from the west to the east, same direction. So I have wind and current in the same direction. Now, while the predictor, current predictor, is telling me that I have 3 knots of current, it's not telling me that my boat's gonna move at 3 knots or 3 miles an hour. It's saying that's what the current is. Now combine that with that additional wind in the same direction against the sail area, which is the area above the waterline that extends on any boat above the waterline. It's called sail area, by the way. you know, on a 41 Cat, it's a big boat, a lot of sail area, massive console, huge hardtop. I'm going to be flying. I'm not going to be at 3 miles an hour. I might be at 4 to 4.5 miles an hour, okay? So I know it's going to be really challenging to deep drop in that particular spot on that particular day in those conditions. So now I can use that data to make better decisions, more educated decisions on where I'm fishing and when. And what that does is it saves me time. It saves me money on fuel, but more importantly, in the same 10-hour period, it increases the amount of time that my baits are in the strike zone. And that's what it's about, baits in the strike zone, okay? The more time that I'm running from place to place, the more time that I'm trying to figure out where I'm fishing and why, is less time that our baits are on the bottom, and that means less time to catch beautiful, amazing bottom fish, deep water bottom fish. So that's just one tool, okay? And as, again, we progress in the future, I want to introduce more tools to you that we use aboard our 41 Sea Hunter, our CTS, you know, that'll really, like I said, help you get dialed in as well. Finally, let's talk about sword fishing. Has been excellent. Excellent. I think we have the best sword fishing in the world. If you go out there and put in your time, you're going to get a bite. You're going to get hooked up. I'm not saying you're going to land every fish. Of course not. But you're going to get bit if you do this right. If you don't do it right, don't do it at all, okay? I'm telling you, it's too expensive, it's too time consuming and frustrating. I cannot stress enough that if you are really interested in going to catch a fish that has one of these sticking out of its face, okay, do it with a professional at first, okay? Guys like RJ Boyle, Bud and Mary's has a lot of boats, of course, that are sword fishing. Our hands-on swordfish courses that we offer. There's options, guys. There's options. And, you know, some will teach you more than others. Depends on what you're trying to get yourself into. But I suggest that at the very least, you go out and experience it before you make that level of commitment. But fishing-wise, the fish are there. We're seeing a lot of fish. Numbers are high. They're strong. Okay? And there's quality fish mixed in too. Best baits, bonita tacos and bonita bellies are excellent. The traditional dolphin bellies, especially right now when dolphin are plentiful, so you can get fresh baits, right? And not something frozen. You can catch some dolphin, rig them fresh, drop them down, and I'm a huge advocate of always fishing the freshest bait that you can. Okay, so that's a huge factor right there. Take advantage of it. Eels, I love eels. Man, I get bit a lot on eels. Squid tentacles is like the latest craze and one of the hottest baits going around. And there's places you can purchase squid tentacles unrigged and then rig them yourself, or you can buy squid tentacles rigged. And then there's some other exotics, ladyfish, snakehead, you know, whatever. Swordfish will pretty much eat anything, okay? What's in their stomachs is incredible. You know, the stuff that they eat, from sand eels to squid to these little viper fish and dragonfish and just about anything. Oarfish, pomfrets I have found inside them. Some stuff I can't even identify, okay? So they're not really that picky. As long as that bait's in the strike zone, that fish is on the feed, he's gonna eat it. And if you do it right, you'll come tight. And if you're lucky, you'll land that fish, okay? But do it properly prepared, take safety into consideration. But everywhere from, you know, the guys that are day dropping for swords, deep dropping for swords during the day off Key West, all the way on up to Miami and Fort Lauderdale, the bite's on. Okay, and the fishing's strong and we have beautiful conditions right now. So don't hesitate going out there and doing it. So like I said, look, to wrap it up as an overview, May is it. May is fire, okay? Now is the time. Oh, the big blackfin tunas. How could I possibly forget that? You're not going to get a better opportunity at 20 to 30 pound, 35 pound blackfin tuna than right now. Okay, those fish are up and down the edge, early morning, late afternoon, live bait, all right, is going to be the key. The guys that are kite fishing are going to crush it. Get a shitty day out there where it's overcast and rough, and you're going to be tight all day. Okay, depending on the current, etc., watercolor, of course, you want to find nice, clean blue water. A nice edge would be great, but as long as you're in the area, 130 to 200 feet is like the magic zone. Goggle eyes off kites, big pilchards off kites, on flat lines, while you're kite fishing, chunk, all right? Don't be afraid to not chum, but chunk, and feed out a chunk on a spinner. You'll often pick one off that way as well. Jig fishermen, middle of the day, where do you think those tunas go? You think they disappeared? No, they're out deeper and where it's darker and cooler, okay? So don't hesitate dropping jigs out in deeper water during the day if you're looking for those bigger black fins as well. But the number one way to catch them is absolutely live bait fishing from kites right along the edge. Afternoon, 5 to 8 p.m., magic hour for monster blackfin tuna in May and June. Okay, remember that. That's it. Guys, stay tuned. This is going to turn into the most watched fishing forecast ever, covering the Florida Keys, Key Largo to Key West every Friday.